You know, I've just talked, it's funny, I just had breakfast yesterday with my counterpart in Mountain View, and they're thinking, probably the teachers can give you more than I can give you on any of this.
I mean, but don't you feel accountable?
I absolutely do.
So you must have concerns about whether or not that you're, I guess, meeting the board expectations and meeting the parents' expectations.
Yeah. Is it back on? Do you want me to talk concerns? Who's the plan? Oh. No, go ahead.
Okay. So I guess we were just talking a little bit about concerns. What concerns did you have when thinking about using Khan Academy and when you think about kind of using it more widely next year?
So some concerns that we certainly have are around making sure that it's used effectively, that it is used appropriately as an instructional tool, that it is not, it's math time, sit every child in front of a computer, and that is the math instruction. And so as we think about rolling it out on a larger scale, what's really key for us is a professional development component to really make sure that we have some fidelity with how we're implementing it. We have some consistency across all of our classrooms, that we're providing the necessary training and then collaboration and coaching and support along the way. Because I think there will be, with any new implementation, there's questions that come up the further you get into it. And so I think making sure that we're providing the support for the teachers to understand how to use it. I think another concern that we have is just making sure that we're providing enough training with teachers around the data piece. What do you do with the data? That's great that you have all of this at the tip of your fingertips, but what does that really mean and how do you use that? Mm-hmm. Another question that we have is, what do we do with our students who have, progressed and have completed 148 of the existing 150 modules? And what does that really mean? Do we need, what other pieces of data do we look at in addition to the Khan Academy to make sure that the application of the knowledge is there? Mm-hmm. And so that's something that we hope to really develop this summer with our teachers, our pilot teachers, is really what are those project-based learnings, what are other assessments that can be used, how do we really guarantee that students have deep mastery of a concept.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that Khan is helping you in that?
Oh, absolutely. I think the Khan Academy team right now is working very diligently to build out and break apart some of their modules. That's been a challenge for us. And right now in a textbook, for example, mean, median, and mode might be 4 chapters, but in Khan Academy it's 1 module. And so if a child's only struggling with one component of that, how do you really assess that when right now it's 1 module? So the Khan team is working very hard to break apart the modules in smaller chunks so that we can assess that information.
Do you find that different between the 5th grade and the 7th grade? So if a 5th grader is taking a module and a 7th grader is taking a module, do they need something different, or is what Khan Academy is able to deliver applicable across multiple grade levels?
I think what Khan Academy has to deliver is applicable across multiple grade levels. I think the more the Khan Academy team can break down specific concepts into individual, instead of having 3 concepts together, breaking them into single concept modules, it'll make it more applicable for the lower grade levels.
Mm-hmm. I think both the 5th grade and the 7th grade teachers are finding that the students can access.
Oh, absolutely. Both 5th grade and 7th grade students can access the information.
So if one of your counterparts in a neighboring district were to call and ask you, they were thinking about using Khan Academy, what would you, and they wanted to know what, what would you say are the pros, and what would you say are the things that they should think about?
We've been getting a lot of calls from other districts who are interested in using Khan Academy. And certainly I think some of the pros that we've seen is that our teachers feel empowered in a way to deliver the curriculum differently to students. The students are excited. They have greater ownership over their learning. They're engaged in their learning. That's very exciting for us. I think that we have, next year will be a big learning curve for us. But I think a big pro is, I've lost my train of thought. Pros and cons.
So what should they think about if they were thinking about adopting it, to know whether or not it's the right thing for their school?
Okay, so I think when thinking about adopting Khan Academy as an instructional strategy, it's important to identify key teacher leaders. And I think in choosing your teacher leaders, teachers who are comfortable with a little bit of ambiguity, with being willing to be flexible and kind of jump in, not having all of the answers, is one of the, I think, the most important things.
Okay. When you think about rolling Khan out school-wide next year, or in a larger way, which you're thinking about doing, how are you thinking about that? Are you thinking about going full or partial?
So right now, we're hopeful that we'll be able to roll out Khan Academy in all of our 5th and 6th grade classrooms. So that's quite a large undertaking. We would be expanding. Our current pilot involves about 150 students, and we would be expanding. So we have 150 students across 4 classrooms. We would be considering expanding to 1,000 students across 36, 37 classrooms, depending on class size. And it's really dependent for us right now on funding and being able to support the professional development, the coaching aspect for teachers, the collaboration time, and the hardware. So if we need to scale that back, we're at least committed to rolling out at 1 grade level, so for sure we'll roll out next year at 5th grade.
And what kind of funding, you think it's a lot of incremental funding to what you would normally be able to provide, or what kind of funding would you need in order to do this school-wide, class-wide?
So we're currently trying to peg down exactly what the hardware funding is, but right now all of our schools have 1 to 2 laptop carts. We think that we probably need to increase that by another 1 or 2 laptop carts or tablet, tablet access for students. We've pegged our professional development grant amount at about $150,000 we're looking at to fund the professional development and the collaboration and release time for 2 grade levels.
And how many classes in your 2 grade levels?
And there'll be about 36 classrooms.
Okay. So hardware is as much of an issue as professional development, or?
It is. I think hardware is probably in some ways it's the easier piece. You just need the money to go out and purchase it, but it's certainly a larger price tag, right?
And then what about teachers that are hesitant or resistant? What are their concerns, and how are you going to address them?
I think certainly there's concerns from teachers thinking about implementing Khan Academy as it's one more thing to do in an already impacted schedule, or concerned about not having the amount of time. So I think what we're going to do to reassure that is help teachers understand that it's not one more thing, that it's really meant to be interwoven with current math instruction, and that if used appropriately, it really can reduce teacher time. It can provide a lot of data for teachers very quickly without them having to spend time assessing students in other ways. What we're going to do to help teachers is provide the professional development, and we really actually hope to provide some on-site coaching. I think knowing, that attending a training is one thing. You walk away with a lot of knowledge, but if you're then expected to implement without any follow-up support, that can be quite intimidating. And so we hope to provide our teachers with some ongoing support throughout the year, both in terms of collaboration and professional development, but both really having an on-site coach who can come in and be right there in the moment while a teacher's using Khan Academy as an instructional tool to answer any of those questions.
Is that coach more a math coach, or are they a technology supporter, or what kind of coaching do you think you'll do?
So we're hoping to have it as really a math coach, because it really is about math instruction. A math coach who is very familiar with the Khan Academy tool would be ideal. No? Did you get a chance to speak to Jeff, our superintendent?
No.
I'm wondering if he would be a good one. Where are you guys next? You're here all day.